Hi, welcome to Happy Hour with Peter Olinto and Roger Philipp.
Hello.
Two legends in the accounting and finance world.
What'd you call us?
Legends.
All right. Yeah, I wish they called me that at home.
Right.
Yeah, he's a legend in his own mind. That's right.
Peter, Roger, thanks for joining us today.
Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Nice to be
Thanks
together.
for having me.
Nice to be had.
Since this is Happy Hour, let's start with a toast. And what should we toast to?
Success, a happy life.
To lots of successful students studying with us and enjoying the course, and we're going to find you someday, and Roger's going to buy you a Mountain Dew, and I'm going to buy you a cup of coffee. Let's go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes, a cup of coffee. Is that how you say it? Coffee.
Do I have an accent? Do I have an accent?
Yeah, I'll say.
What's going on? Rough crowd.
So we've got Mountain Dew and coffee. Is that what y'all are drinking today?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right.
The Mountain Dew starts from back when I started teaching back in the 1800s,
Yeah.
right? Because somebody here is making fun of me. Back in the 1800s when I started teaching, I needed something to keep me awake and keep me excited and keep me motivated. And at the time, the thing that had the most caffeine on the market was Mountain Dew. So I started drinking that. That's way before you kids had Jolt and whatever they had. What do they have today?
So now he doesn't need Mountain Dew. I just got him a nice 9-volt Duracell battery, put it in his pacemaker, and he's ready to go.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, I'm young. What can I say? That's not good. Yes.
All right, so before we get into our questions, I want to let anyone watching know that y'all can submit your questions for both Peter and Roger in the comments section wherever you might be watching.
And we're gonna have a vote. Who has nicer legs? So we didn't want to show them today because we didn't want to scare you away. But they're online. Look them up, and whoever wins the contest, whoever loses the contest, got to buy everybody Mountain Dew and coffee. How's that sound?
Sure.
I'll buy the coffee. You get the Mountain Dew.
Well, I got to do some leg exercises because that's why I wear baggy pants.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Is the camera making me look a little bit over? I got to do more sit-ups.
No, it's not the camera. It's you.
not
Just kidding. He looks great.
I might be pregnant,
When
I'm
do you
not sure.
What do you do? Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
What a wise
No,
guy.
you look great for your age.
Oh,
What are you, 60, 70, 80?
rough crowd.
No, I'm just
Y'all
kidding.
both look great, so I'm so glad y'all are here. All right, so Peter, it's so great to have you on board here at UWorld. Can you please give a little bit of background on yourself and tell us what you'll be doing here?
Yeah, so been in the CPA review business, my goodness, since the mid-'90s. So, yeah, I got my start. I worked as an auditor, a CPA, got my law degree, worked a little bit as a tax attorney, and thank goodness after passing the exam, I found my true passion, teaching. So I got my start teaching SAT, LSAT, GMAT, went on to teach CPA review, and then I taught in college for about 10 plus years, and for the past 25 or so, I've been enjoying helping people get through the exam. So continuing this journey here with my buddy Roger, and I got to tell you, from afar, for decades, really the reputation, and I kid him a lot, but no, just the energy, the humor, his style of teaching, engaging. And I said, someday if I get the opportunity to work with this guy, so I am thrilled to be a part of this team. He embraces this style of teaching and the sense of humor, and I think we're going to do great things together. And I got no problem being the Robin to his Batman.
Hey, cheers to that.
Yeah, there you
I
go,
like
because
that.
he's picking up dinner tonight, I hope.
Yeah, that's what he thinks.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and Roger, over to you. You've been with UWorld now for almost 5 years.
5 years.
I know. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
It is.
Can you tell us more about your background and what your focus has been with UWorld?
I had a rough child. I was born in the house I built myself. No, I'm just kidding. I started, you like that? I started way back when at Deloitte & Touche, back in the 80s when most of your grandparents were working then. Started working there, then I left, started teaching CPA review, and I've been doing this for, what are we in, like 35 years? 80, no, 30, I don't know, a long time, 35 years. I started when I was 7, and love doing what I do, which is helping people accomplish their goal, and we're taking, interesting information, but we're both great at giving it life, energy, passion, and, we've helped hundreds of thousands of people accomplish their goal, which is passing the exam. So I always, I loved working in public, but I also realized that for me, helping people to improve their lives and accomplish their goals really has given my life incredible value. So I'm excited about that. And now I'm excited to be working side by side with you.
So I don't know about you, but I used to hear for forever, oh, if you and Roger ever teamed up, and so yeah, I'm thrilled to be a part of this, and I thank you for welcoming me on board, and excited to work with the whole team here at UWorld.
We're very excited to have you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Legends indeed. So
Legends.
specifically, Peter, what brought you to UWorld?
You know, I think when I've had people who I've worked with in the past came over to UWorld and doing different things, and spoke so highly of the company and just the reputation with the questions and the question bank. And then when I saw the emphasis they were putting on the lectures and Roger's style, I was like, wow, I really like what they're doing. And I think most importantly, they're embracing the energy and the humor that we bring to teaching. I mean, it's a serious business. We want you to get through the exam, but it doesn't mean it has to be so painful. And you know, a good sense of humor helps sometimes retain this information and keep your attention. And you know, looking for a spot where that's embraced, and I could be me, and I could show my legs and have all kinds of good fun. Yeah, no,
I gotta be me.
no, and
Nice. And he's got nice legs, by the way.
thank you,
Yeah,
thank you
I'll
very
vouch
much
for that.
Yeah, thank you.
His wife paid me to say that.
He was spotting me before when I was squatting, but I'll talk about that later. But no, seriously, it's really an honor, really, to sit next to this guy and have the opportunity to teach with him. I like to joke I was with the best CPA instructor who was born in the 19th century, and now I'm with the best born in the 20th. So it's all good.
There you go. And
Thanks.
Roger, how about you? Why did you choose UWorld?
Why did I choose UWorld? Actually, so I had started Roger's CPA Review back in 2001, and we built it up quite a bit. And as I said, we've helped hundreds of thousands of people pass the exam, and I've been approached over the years by competitors, private equity. And when UWorld approached, I realized it was more of a strategic, where they were interested in entering the market, and instead of creating their own, they looked around and found what they thought at the time was the best available. And I have to say that I've been pleasantly surprised, and that's why I continue to sign on and stick around, because they treated our staff amazingly well. They care about the students, they care about the product. They've invested millions of dollars to take what I thought was a great product, but I was too cheap to invest more, and they've made it amazing. I mean, they've got 15 plus content people, just all of the advancement has been amazing, which helps the students and helps us to achieve our 94% pass rate. So I'm really, really happy. Every day I'm quite happy with the choice that I made.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'll add to that too, the collection of talent, because I was teaching CFA over at Wiley, and then when I heard UWorld was acquiring, so you really got the best of 3 review courses in a lot of ways, and what the team at Wiley brings to the table as well. Their question bank, their talent insofar as writing the content, teaching it. It's really an amazing collection of people with lots of experience in the industry. So it's an honor to be a part of it. It really is.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, that sets us up perfectly for our comments on our recent acquisition of Wiley Efficient Learning. So thanks, Peter, for that little segue there. So I really appreciate that. Roger, any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I'm excited about that as well. One, Pete came over with CFA, but we have CFA, CMA. They brought in CPA as well, and a lot of very talented people that have been in the industry as long as I have. So it's just adding to, and that's one of the nice things about UWorld that I love, is they're always growing. They're always thinking about how they can, again, create a bigger marketplace, but also improve the products that are out there. And I think that's how Dr. Chandra had started his medical review. Is there was nothing out there, and then he created his own and said, this is good. And was like, can I borrow your notes? And that's how it grew. And so that's kind of how they're looking at all of these different verticals and how to make them better. So it's nice to be with a company that really cares about the product and the students.
Yeah, and it gives me an opportunity as well to get back into live online. There's so many wonderful instructors who can record the videos, and I'm going to be a part of that team. But with the collection of talent they have, I can now devote more time, which historically I couldn't, to live online teaching, which I'm excited about. A lot of problem-solving seminars and workshops that will have a lot of fun. I'll DJ on the side for you as we solve a pension question. If you get it right, I might even rap for you. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But very excited about the different avenues this opens for me to work with the students, especially live online. We'll get to hang out. I'm excited about that.
And great medical benefits. So he's going to get his walker really soon.
Hope they got an exercise program. The camera's killing me. I hope on that side of the camera I don't look so bad. It's killing me over here.
Puts on 20 pounds in 10 years. No, there's a gym downstairs. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, we all know. I'm just kidding. We love you, Pete. We love him.
Rough crowd.
Yeah.
So since the news came out that Peter was joining UWorld, there's been a lot of positive response from our professional community calling y'all a dream team related to going downstairs to the gym. One person even commented maybe it's like Magic and Jordan on the same team. I don't know which one of y'all's which.
Which one's better looking?
Right? So after all of these years working towards similar goals, what's it like now to be working together?
So we were actually doing different recordings today on advice we would give to students and study tips and tricks. And it was amazing that there were things Roger was saying. I was like, I was going to say that. And things I was saying, he said, Pete, I was going to say that. So it's really very natural because we have a similar philosophy to teaching. Like we were joking, it's not an IQ test because Lord knows if it was, neither one of us would have passed. But it's about, building that confidence. And I certainly, Roger now knows I'm not going to intimidate anybody intellectually. Am I, Roger?
No, he's fine. He's fine.
Okay, so if I passed, you should get a perfect score. But no, we just have a similar approach to students, that enthusiasm, the sense of humor, as I mentioned. And I think it's gonna work out great. Can I give you a hug, man? I love you. I love you already.
I agree with. No, I think it's exciting. I mean, we've been
duking it out. We have for a couple of decades,
for like
yes.
20 years, and now it's nice to be, because we'd always hear compliments about we were the best of the best, and it's really nice to finally have the best of the best together, and it's the beginning of a beautiful relationship. So it brings tears. I feel verklempt. I'm getting all emotional, but no, I'm serious. I think it's great for us. It's great for the company, and it's even better for all the students. So we're really excited about working together, and as I keep saying, taking a product that's great and making it even better. So we're pumped up, literally.
And all of our viewers are pumped as well. We got a comment that some people have been pre-gaming since noon for y'all's happy hour.
Let's go.
There you
Cheers
go.
to that.
So I have this coffee in here. Trust me, I swear.
Yeah. Cheers to that coffee.
Woo!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look. And look, I even got my little letter there. You can see?
Yeah.
Look how cute. Mm-hmm.
And I got a big, nice.
Cheers, but back to the Mountain Dew, seriously.
Yes. So we have one more question, then we'll get to some of our live audience questions. What are your thoughts on what the profession is today, where you see it going, and the role you want to play?
I guess I'll go first. So on my little bit of economics knowledge, supply and demand. So the demand has never been greater for certified public accountants, but the supply is not what it could be or should be. And there's a lot of talk about different ways to get people more excited about becoming an accounting major, a CPA. And I think you all have made an amazing choice. I stayed in the profession a short time. I worked at, like Roger, I started at Deloitte. But what I tell people and what I was told, you should feel really good about your decision to be an accounting major and pursue the CPA. It's like a big buffet, and it gives you so many different opportunities, whether tax, audit, consulting. I went on to law school. I definitely got accepted to more law schools than I would have otherwise because I had my CPA. And when I sat for the CFA, again, having the accounting background paid such big dividends. But look, it requires hard work, right? But anything that's going to give you value in return, you got to make a sacrifice. But it's a relatively short-term sacrifice for a credential that pays you back the rest of your life. And if you make it to partner, that's wonderful, but the vast majority of people don't, as we know. But there's so many wonderful things, so many wonderful opportunities, and but really you got to have your CPA. And I tell people, how could you go 5 years and get a degree in accounting and not be certified, right? It's like going 3 years to law school and never passing the bar. It doesn't happen. So, you got to finish the job, and I sincerely believe in it. And Roger says it too. I mean, all the opportunities we wouldn't have, but for the fact that we sat for the CPA and were fortunate enough to pass.
No, I totally agree. I couldn't have had and created the life that I had without becoming a CPA. And it's the kind of thing that, it's the type of profession that no matter what happens in the economy, good old economics, supply, demand, recessions, and so on, we're always needed, right? We're always in high demand. And so I always, I was brought up conservatively where you got to have a good profession, you got to provide for a family, and this, that, and the other. And that's where becoming an accountant and a CPA is really, really beneficial. And whether you go in public or private or governmental, some of you will end up as partners or CEOs, COOs, CFOs, and so on. Or some of you will go off and create your own business, for example. But having that CPA is invaluable. And I always joke to my students, I say, I'm so proud of it, that when I die on my tombstone, I'm going to write, "Here lies Roger, CPA," right? Fully depreciated, right? There ain't anything left. But the point is,
That's about 2 weeks from now.
Hey.
He's going to expire soon.
I need that battery soon. No, but it's an amazing profession, and we just have to make it sexier and draw more people into it. But I think it's definitely something that you will never regret having accomplished too, and it gives you that that sense of accomplishment too, having achieved it.
And a lot of baby boomers are starting to retire, opening up those opportunities. So for you young folks out there, with the demand growing and the supply, as you can see, expiring.
Hey, talk to the hand, buddy. No.
I'm only serious.
Yeah, you're only as young as you feel. I feel about 70 right now.
So how is this going to work going forward? Which sections do y'all want to teach? Do you know what the plan is? Are y'all going to split it up between both of you? How is that going to work?
Probably tag team, back again. Yeah, right? Something like that. Yeah. I think,
thank God he's an audit guy, because when I was at Deloitte, I actually got an award for the worst auditor they had ever seen. So I actually DJ'd the Christmas party at Deloitte, and the partner said to me, "Pete, you're a way better DJ than auditor." So he's got the audit section.
I think I'll be teaching audit for quite a while. Yes.
And the ethics.
He doesn't got any. What are you talking about? I'll probably be doing some ethics as well. But I think what's nice is we both teach everything, so there's a lot of flexibility, and as you can see, we both bring that energy and passion to teaching. So we're pretty excited about picking up all the parts.
Yeah, and I think with having Roger on the videos and then a little bit myself, but having the opportunity to do it live online, we're going to bring that entire package. So if you want to self-study, or you want that structure of a live online course, we're going to have the ability, and especially with all the great people, great instructors we brought over from Wiley, I think between all of us, no matter what product you're looking at, and whether it's live online or the videos or problem solving, whatever, I think there's going to be something for everybody.
Great. So when should we expect some recordings from you, Peter? Do you have a little crystal ball? You want to give us a glimpse into the future?
Come on, man. From day one, I've been inundated. No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, so I'm just prepped a statement of cash flow and notes of the financials. So, I've been keeping busy, and so I'm going to do a lot of stuff that I've historically done. So like Roger said, we'll split up financial and some of the bar and reg and the log guy and tax. We've got the bases covered, but neither one of us is really an IT. So I hear we've got a wonderful IT instructor who came over from Wiley, thank goodness, because I had to help him turn on his laptop today. He forgot to plug it in, so that was the problem. But
I'm pretty, but not that smart. No, but it's true. But actually, I've been doing a lot of filming throughout the summer as well, preparing for the exciting 2024 exam, right? 3 core, 3 discipline. So we spent a lot of time, updating the new product, getting it ready for launch later in the year. For the
but then when they mentioned the bar, I misunderstood. I said, I'll go to the bar. And they said, no, it's one of the sections of the exam.
A different bar.
A different bar. Yeah.
And so thanks for that segue, Roger. Set me up perfectly for this next question. What's your best advice for candidates considering taking the CPA now versus maybe in 24? Any advice there?
Sure. Well, for those that don't know, moving into 2024, currently there's 4 parts of the exam. BEC is disappearing. Then there's going to be 3 core and 3 disciplines. The 3 core will be FAR, audit, and reg, so those are still going to be there. With the 3 disciplines, you can pick one of the 3. So you have to pass these 3 core and one of the 3 disciplines. And with the 3 disciplines, they're what? They're
ISC,
bar.
Yeah, you know me.
ISC, you know me. There's bar and there's TCP. So it's kind of like tax and advanced, intermediate, advanced kind of stuff for financial accounting, and the other one is kind of more of an IT area.
And that BEC, so if I pass that in 2023, I pass BEC, what does that equate to in 2024?
What that means is you don't have to take any of these disciplines. So if you can qualify to sit this year in 2023, I would suggest passing BEC first, because then you don't have to be the guinea pig and try out one of these 3 disciplines. If you don't qualify or don't have time to sit, then in 2024, you can start with either one of the 3 core or one of the 3 disciplines. Now, if you take a discipline and you don't pass it, you can switch disciplines. If you take a discipline and pass it, that's done, then you just pass the 3 cores. So that's kind of some of the changes. So again, if you can qualify in 2023, try to knock out BEC if you can. If not, don't worry about it. I'll be like, Don't worry,
my
Jersey.
First
Jersey.
live online, and I'm going to get Roger to join me. We'll be doing BEC. So this fall, if you're looking to knock it out before the end of 2023, starting, I believe, in September, we're working on the dates, but I will be doing live online. But we're going to be doing the heavy-hitting topics. So the cost, the managerial, the corporate finance, the econ, the things that give people the stress. We're going to be doing a lot of problem solving, so we are going to knock that out together.
Yes.
Live online,
Yes.
baby. Let's go.
There you go.
And so related to that, here's a fun question for y'all. What's the craziest thing that's ever happened during a live CPA review class? Any crazy stories you can think of off the top of your head?
Oh, yeah. So
Appropriate for the audience,
Oh,
of
appropriate.
course.
I was going to say how I met my first, second, and third wife, but that's a whole different story.
No. So in New York City, we used to teach across the street from Madison Square Garden. It was called the Hotel Pennsylvania. And we were sometimes in the basement. And in the basement, it was a beautiful hotel about like in the 1920s when Roger was in high school. But let me tell you, have you seen a New York City rat? Because it's bigger than a cat, and one of them's bigger than my dog. So we used to have this rat that would regularly attend our live class, and I think he just liked my teaching, this rat, because he would come every single class. So yes, we would have people screaming and jumping on the table in the middle of the class. That's what comes to mind when I think of live teaching.
Wow. For me, I would have to say I was teaching in Southern California, Los Angeles, in Northridge, and I'm up there teaching, doing my shtick and motivating the kids, and all of a sudden things start rocking and rolling, and I'm thinking, oh wow, I'm really doing a good job. The audience must be and we're having an earthquake. So welcome to SoCal. That's one of the exciting things. Another thing that comes to mind had to do with I was invited to be the keynote speaker at a banquet, and so I was, I just started in CPA review. This was probably the early '90s, and so I had to jump in a plane and fly up north. Yes, we had planes back then, so I flew up to do this Saturday night banquet, and I'd been practicing my presentation for days, if not weeks. And I get there with one of my coworkers, and I walk in, and I said, "Hi, I'm here for the such and such banquet." And they said, "Oh, are you the keynote speaker?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Oh, the banquet was last night." So anyway, luckily it wasn't my fault. It was the marketing person's fault, and she's still unemployed. But the point is, you always think about, it's like when you think about giving a speech and you wake and you're not dressed or anything like that. So it's kind of one of those things that you hope would never happen, and hey, it did. So that was fun.
So speaking of not being dressed properly, so Peter, since you announced you're joining UWorld, you announced it with a shot of your legs.
Oh, legs.
And Roger, you responded with your legs.
I
So what's going on with that?
Yeah, tell us about your legs there, Petey.
Yeah, no, so it's part and parcel. Like, when I had my interview here at UWorld, I said, listen, I occasionally like to do some, non-traditional things to help student remember certain topics on the exam. And one of my things was showing my legs. And I said, how would you feel if I show my legs? And then they asked me right there in the middle of the interview, well, Pete, show them right now. Let's see how it goes. So, yeah, I think that was why I got the job. So, no, it's just anything to keep the students engaged, and I wanted to make sure that this was a place that, and the philosophy, right? Anything to keep the students engaged, and whatever it takes to help them learn and get through sometimes what could be boring, mundane topics. So yeah, occasionally I like to show my legs, and UWorld was on board with it, and I was like,
and he's got quite nice legs.
Yeah.
But no, I think he brings up a great point. I think that's what's made us such popular instructors over the last 20 plus 15 years is reading the audience and realizing when, at what point we need to remotivate people and make a little joke or a mnemonic or a memory aid or something to kind of shake it up a little bit so people can, because just sitting there, shake it up, woo, my little Taylor Swift going on there. So somehow, that's what I think we're both known for, is being entertaining, but, we're helping people get through what can be very difficult material, but in an entertaining, motivating, exciting way. And so that's why I'm excited to be working with this guy.
Let's go. Let's go.
There you go.
Let's
go. So great things are to come.
And one of the most well-known motivating factors in the CPA world is Peter promises to buy a cup of coffee for anyone who passes. We have a very...
Wait. It's not quite that simple.
Oh, it's not. Tell us.
So I want you to help me earn my bonus. And to be fair, if you do the right thing and help me earn my bonus, I'm going to kick you back part of that bonus. And so you pass the exam, I'm going to find you and buy you a cup of coffee.
A cup of
I'm
coffee.
not going to get a cup of coffee.
But when you made that promise...
Do I have an accent?
Yeah.
Of course.
No. And just like say y'all. Yeah. In
Yes.
SoCal, I don't think we do. No, but when you started that, coffee was like, what, 10 cents?
Oh,
snap.
Oh, man, rough crowd.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I know, I'm going for it. No, but and I will fulfill that. So anybody who's passed the exam and has been kind enough to sit through those videos and feels that it's helped them, I will fulfill that obligation. UWorld is going to put me on a tour here shortly, so we're going to be going to different universities, firms, both domestically and internationally. And so I'm very excited to meet you all someday and buy you that hard-earned cup of coffee. Absolutely.
Wow, I can't wait to cash in on that one.
So does a perfect score garner 2 cups?
Oh, perfect score. 2 cups.
Score. We'll replace him with you. We're kicking him out. Are you kidding? A perfect score.
Perfect score.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
2 cups for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely some high achievers
And maybe
here.
even a little bit of whipped cream on there, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
You could supersize it, no problem.
Super size.
Wow, perfect score. Can you imagine getting a 99?
Wow, I probably wouldn't have any friends.
You were in the 300 club, weren't you?
Yeah, 75, 75, 75. There
what you
might have been a
need.
76 in there, so 301.
Yeah. Oh, 301.
What he's referring to is, 75 is passing. 74 is, I came this close to being a CPA. So a lot of people, they would come out, I got a 92, and you're like, dude, you overstudied. Because it doesn't say on your certificate your scores. It just says either you are or you ain't. And so, 300 means you didn't overstudy.
That's right.
Of course, I'm not going to go to him for tax advice, but that's a different story. Just kidding. Love you, Pete.
So as y'all know, the bar is quite high for becoming a CPA, like you just mentioned.
Yes.
So with the transition towards the new 24 format, do y'all think that the bar is being lowered at all? Or do you think it's becoming more accessible for maybe working parents? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think they need to do things to make it so that it's a more attractive profession. I think we are, no doubt, losing quality candidates who are deciding to go finance or law or other things. And I like the idea of having a discipline because, the CPA is somewhat of a generalist credential for sure, but at the end of the day, if you're pretty confident you're going to go tax or audit or whatever the case may be, why should you be forced to study topics that you're not going to necessarily use in your day in, day out career? So I like that they've made that change. I think the 3 core require you to have the basic concept, the foundation.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be a tax professional, I just think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's important. But it's important also, as they always try to keep the exam up to date, to see what's happening in the real world. And they try to make it what a second-year CPA would generally do in the real world. And that's why things are always changing. That's why there's more technology, for example, because that, when I started back in the day, when I had the
Hammer and chisel.
Yeah, thank you.
Pen and
very much.
paper. They hadn't
Sure.
invented that yet.
That's
It was
what
a hammer and a chisel.
We didn't get computers, right? I got a 10 key. You know what a 10 key is? You're ticking and tying and footing, cross-footing, and So times have changed dramatically as the CPA exam has changed. I mean, I started teaching back when, as I said, it was a 19-and-a-half-hour, 3-day exam twice a year. And all you partners out there probably remember that as well. And then it changed to 4 parts, and then it changed to where you didn't have to take all 4 parts at once, but you could take 1 part at a time. So it's gone through all these iterations throughout all these years, and that's what they're doing here, just trying to keep things current. So I agree with Pete where it's nice to have the 3 core, and then you get to choose the discipline in the area that you're most interested in, where you're probably going to pursue in your career.
Yeah, and I think even as you plan your study schedule, I think that we were talking about the different order in which you can sit for the parts, but they want to reward you for having work experience. I guess the criticism was always, how could you be an audit senior or up for manager, yet you didn't have an advantage on the audit exam because it was too academic, right? So they're trying to make it more practitioner-based, more analytical, that rather than just memorizing formulas. I mean, I joke when I took the bar exam. On the day I took the bar, I was the best lawyer I was ever going to be because ever since that it's been all downhill. You forget a lot of that stuff. So it's not about memorization. It's about, like Roger said, that work experience so that when you do put your study plan together, think about, based upon what you're going to be doing, tax or audit, whatever it may be, what part you should sit for last, because if you're working full time and you're getting all that new hire experience and working in that discipline day in, day out, well, that's probably going to tell you the part you should sit for last, because the worst thing that can happen is you're up against that window where, you could, and there's different timing now, but parts will expire. Mm-hmm. And then, God forbid, you leave your hardest part for last, and then you have to retake parts you've already passed because, you let them expire. So I like to joke, LIFO accounting, FIFO, well, there's HIFO, hardest one in, first one out. So whatever you think is going to be the part that's going to give you the most trouble, probably study for that first because there's no time limit. If you haven't passed anything yet, there's no 18-month window to worry about. You really need to worry about that after you pass your first part. So if you get your hardest part out of the way first, it gets progressively easier. Plan around your busy season, but it can be done. Slow and steady, but just have a good plan and stick to it.
And the hardest part? Probably the one that takes the longest to prepare for, probably.
Yeah, I mean, financial, so you asked a little bit, so financial, some of the, more, I guess, the core is supposed to be like that more intermediate level, whereas the disciplines are more advanced. But some of the content, I mean, if you're thinking about financial, should I do it in 2023 or 2024? There's an argument to be made that maybe you want to defer FAR to 2024 because some of the more challenging content is being moved from FAR to the bar exam. So just reach out to us if you want that advice. This is what we do. But there's a big argument that maybe BEC out of the way because of the discipline, and that it could apply, and then push off FAR to 2024.
And what he was talking about with the time limit is you pass one part and then the clock starts ticking and you need to pass all 4 within a certain window. And if you don't meet that window, in the olden days, you lost everything. I don't know if you remember that. So if you
Before
pass
my
2,
time.
Yeah. So if we pass, back in my day, we had to sit for all 4 parts, pass at least 2 at the first time, and then if the window passed and you didn't pass the rest, you lost everything. Now you just lose that first part. So as long as you can pass all 4 within that window, you're fine. But don't worry about it. We'll get you through it.
That's right.
Absolutely. And with the 24 changes, most states have also extended that window of period where you can pass all 4. So that's great for the candidates as well.
It is.
So related to that, with the changes to the 24 exam, there's going to be longer wait times before candidates get their scores. How do you think that's going to impact things? Do you think there'll be higher pass rates, lower pass rates? Will it cause maybe some lower motivation? What are your thoughts on that?
What she's referring to is when you take, let's say the exam starts, was it January 12th or something? I don't know, is that the number? Anyway, somewhere around then. The exam starts and then the results may not come out for anywhere from maybe 1.5, 2 months in some cases. I think for the disciplines even longer. And that's fine. I mean, back in my day, we took the exam, you had to wait 3 months to get a result, and then you got the result.
That's because it was on a horse and pony, they deliver the results.
They're going to deliver it, yeah, whatever. Although it was a paper pencil exam back in my day, and you had a blue book where you had to do, statement of cash flows you were just talking about, operating, investing, financing activities. You go, girl. But anyway, we had to do it all by hand. So now what they're doing is you take the part, and then what I'm telling the students to do is you take the part, you submit it, and then all of a sudden, instead of waiting for the results, you start on the next part. And then when that result comes out, let's say it's 6 weeks later or 8 weeks or even longer, and that's why, as she mentioned earlier, they're giving you extending in some cases up to 30 months, so that if you pass a part, you will keep that part. Because you can't take the exam 6 days a week, 9, 10 months a year anymore, at least not for the first year. In 2025, it'll probably go back to the normal schedule. But at the beginning, since it's a new exam, and I'm so old, as you say, what'd you say? That back in 2002, I remember when they created the BEC exam. They didn't know, and then it went computerized in 2004, I think. The point is they didn't know how it was going to be affected, so the same kind of thing. They had this same kind of lag. And I would tell the students the same thing. Take a part, put it out of your mind, go study for the next part, and then if you got that result and you were close, jump back in, finish that part, and then move on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're looking at in the future as well. But again, for us old timers, we've been through this. For you young whippersnappers.
And with the results recently coming out much faster than they had historically, 10 days, whatever the wait time was, it wasn't all that much. We would say, God forbid you fail a part. And just if that should happen, you're okay. You're in good company because the vast majority of CPAs do not pass all 4 parts on the first attempt. That's okay. But if you only had a 10-day period or 2 weeks to wait, you probably didn't get very far in your studying for that next part. So we would say, okay, stop. If God forbid you get your results and you haven't passed, then what's going to be our plan? Let's leave what you were going to do aside and let's go back and get that part. Because while that information is relatively fresh in your mind, now it's truly going to be a review. But what Roger just said now is with that relatively long delay in getting results, you're probably going to be much further down the line in studying for that next part. You're going to keep that. So if God forbid you get your results and you weren't successful, continue with the part you've been studying for now for 6 weeks or more, and then you'll come back and get that part next time around. And like I said, you're in good company. It's not an IQ test, and a lot of times it's work related and there's other stuff going on. So don't be discouraged. You just need a good plan the second time around. And I think, what I tell people is, there's a lot of content on the CPA exam that's not a review. So we're called a review course, but it's kind of sort of if you've recently graduated and you did well in those topics and you were fortunate enough to have all those topics in college. If you've been out of school a while or you had a C, not a big deal, or there might be topics we were talking about governmental and not-for-profit, some tax classes, whatever you may not have had in school. The first time you saw it, you were learning it. So the second time around, a score in the low 70s can quickly turn into the high 80s. You just got to have a good plan, and that's part of the reason we're here. So you're going to reach out to us and the staff at UWorld, and we're going to help you put together that study plan so that you'll be successful.
Yeah, and I always tell people too that if you didn't quite pass the part, it's never going to be as difficult as it was the first time. Because I always say, if I gave you that exam today before you start studying, you'd get a 20 or 30. Once you study, you get it back. Oh, shoot, I got a 73. I came this close to being a CPA. Well, guess what? You missed a few questions too many. We'll take that knowledge from where you left off and we'll bulk it up as well. And as he mentioned, a lot of students will say, well, do I need a review course? I took all these classes. I had good grades. But guess what? There's so many electives in college that you never took, and those are topics that are going to be on the CPA exam. Like when I was in college, for example, governmental accounting was an elective, and I elected not to take it. So the only way I saw it was through a review course, which gave me what I needed to help me to accomplish my goal, which was passing the CPA exam. So like you said, it's not an IQ test. If it's a test of discipline, if you study, you will pass. And that's where our job comes in, and that's why we're so good at it, is we make it exciting and motivating to watch the lectures. After work, I don't want you to go, oh, I got to go watch deferred taxes. But I want you to go, hey, I get to spend the evening with Peter and Raj. Let's do deferred taxes. And that's why I encourage you to go check out our lectures, check out our videos, and see how they're presented, because that will really keep you motivated to put in the 300 plus hours it'll take to get through all 4 parts of the CPA exam.
And I like Roger's philosophy that there's no presumption of prior knowledge, because we have students who've been out of school 10, 15 years, career change, or we're in accounting and they decided not to take the exam, or they gave up on it, and then they realize they can't get the promotion or the jobs that they want because they don't have those letters, and then they come back. So believe me, even though we're called a review course, we're going to walk you through what you need to know to pass the exam, and that's the most important thing.
I always say when you start our class, I expect you to know nothing, and I'm rarely disappointed. No, I'm just kidding. So we'll take you from debit, credit, whichever it is, and we'll walk you through and teach you what you need to know. But again, realizing there's a lot of stuff you maybe never have been exposed to, but that's our job, is to teach it in an understandable, exciting, motivating way, and getting you to accomplish your goal.
Definitely. The videos are very motivating. So, and I know we also have lots of caffeine here, so that helps as well.
Caffeine is your friend.
Do y'all have any more practical advice for maybe those working parents or those who already have a full-time job? Maybe they're in between busy season and summertime. What are y'all's advice for those candidates who are trying to find the motivation to study?
Pete's advice to me was marry wealthy, but I blew that one.
Yeah, I wanted to marry Roger, but he was already taken.
There
so
you go.
No, that's a great point. If you want to make it happen, you're going to make it happen. So look, if you look at all the reasons why you can't do it, it's going to be very difficult to do it, right? So look, Roger said, if you look at 100 hours per part, so let's go on the 400 plus hour side. You break it down, okay, 100 hours per part. If you have the luxury of studying full time and you could study 40 hours a week, you can knock this out in less than a month. But for most people, that's not the reality. But you can't tell me you can't find 10 hours a week, right? So between Saturday, Sunday, and then I'm not a morning person, but every test I took, CPA, different levels of the CFA, the bar exam, while I was studying for those exams and I was working, I got up an hour earlier, so Monday through Friday, and I didn't want to wait to the end of the day because then it haunted me all day that I got to go home and do this. So during the week, I got it out of the way first thing in the morning. I got my day started right, but I did the heavy lifting on Saturdays and Sundays. And look, this is a team effort here. So whoever your significant other is in your life, they need to support you in this endeavor, right? Because they're going to benefit from your financial success otherwise, right? So the least they could do is support you. I remember I dated somebody one time. They gave me a hard time. Said, Pete, all you ever do is study. And I was like, do you think on a Friday night I want to go study pension accounting? Because I'm hoping on the drive over to the library, my appendix bursts so I can go to the emergency room instead. it's a short-term sacrifice, literally, that will pay you back the rest of your life, and it goes by relatively quickly. So you look, so students who just graduated, you want to knock this out before you start working full-time. The goal is that summer before you start, knock out all 4 parts. But if you're a working professional and you have a family, it's a different goal, right? So you're going to spread this out over a year, and you can do it.
And you've got to balance it, and you've got to go with the right mindset. You've got to say, okay, I'm ready to do this for myself, for my family, and setting up that study schedule. And that's why we have study planners, where you'll go online and you can see the schedule and say, okay, I want to take the exam here. I want to have a couple of weeks to review before, back into today's date, and it will help you determine how many days a week you need to study, how many hours you need to study, and so on. So it's a nice way to kind of motivate you. And I remember back in my day, we had to, I had 5 parts: practice part 1, practice part 2, theory, law, and audit. But we had to take all the parts. So I remember I would study, as Pete said, I would study, each day a little bit, and then on the weekends a lot. And then I remember Sunday was my date night, and I studied business law because that was its own exam. So I had something to look forward to. Hello, loser. Anyway, you know what that's a loser. That's a 3D loser. Any way you look at it, you're still a loser. But anyway, but that worked for me, and that got me through the exam. The other thing I did is I had a study buddy, and we would meet on the weekends at the library and just sit and do our own thing. But what was nice about it is if I didn't understand something, I would ask him, and if he didn't understand something, he would ask me. And you think you understand something until you try to explain it to someone. And they're like, why? And you say, well, that's a good, let me think about it. And so it really helped us to understand and remember the material. But that's one of the things that I love about Pete and my teaching style, is that we're not teaching for you to memorize. We're trying to explain it, so that when he just said statement of cash flows he was teaching. So when we're teaching statement of cash flows, we want you to understand what this statement is, what is the purpose, how does the document flow, operating, investing, financing, and so on. So we explain it in a way that instead of memorizing it for a midterm, because I know how all of you start school, right? The new semester, you go, this semester's going to be different, I'm not going to fall behind. And then you get your syllabus, and then you go buy your accounting book. It's always the most expensive, thickest, biggest book. And then you take that book, and you go, I'm going to study. Hey, Roger, toga party, okay. And it's the night before the midterm, and you cram. And you're trying to keep the material from flying out the other ear. You go in and take the exam, walk out the door, blow it out your brain, and go, I'll never need that again. Well, this is the comprehensive final that you never saw in college. And it's like the entrance exam into this profession that has endless opportunities. So you've got to make it a commitment. You've got to make it a goal. You've got to stick with that goal. I always joke, if you have someone special in your life, tell them you love them, and you'll see them in 6 months. But make it a commitment, and it will happen. And it's also one other thing. It's a highly academic exam, which means the closer you take it to graduation, the easier it will be, as opposed to 5, 10, 20 years later. But don't get me wrong. I've had people that were up for partner. And generally, when you get to a big firm, they won't promote you to senior or at least manager until you pass. Unless you're bringing in a lot of business, a lot of ka-ching revenue, then they'll kind of look the other way. Then you're knocking on the door for partner, and they go, well, you got to pass the exam. I can't make you partner. So I've had people come to me to do that kind of thing. So it's doable. It's a little harder because they've been out of that mindset. Because, in the real world, it's rare someone comes and says, hey, the control environment, is it A, control environment, B, risk assessment, C, control environment, D? That doesn't happen. But that's part of, about 50% a lot of the exams is multiple choice. So you still have to be able to think that way. And that's what we'll teach you to do.
Yeah, and one of the things we spoke about too is, the retaining this information. So, as Roger mentioned, speaking it, the more senses you engage when you're studying. So it's nice to watch lectures and read the book, but you got to put the pen to the paper. I'm a big believer in what you write, you will remember. We're getting a tornado here, by the way. That's a tornado warning right now. So we're risking our lives to make sure you pass this exam. Never mind that tornado. We're staying.
Hey, we're staying.
Nobody's going anywhere. So the more senses you engage. So you got to, you read it, you write it, you speak it. So the next time you're on a Tinder date, you want to see that you have your future spouse sitting across, talk to them about pension accounting, because if they're still there at the end of dinner, like that, Roger, that's how we really met his wife. Talked to her about pension accounting. She stayed, and they got married all these years later.
Wow, and if she's still a liability. I love you, dear. Don't go changing. Try to please me. No, she's fabulous.
If I said that, my wife's from New Jersey. Let me tell you something right now. There'd be a contract on my life like in 15 minutes.
There'd be something tied around his ankles and throwing him over the edge of the water.
My goodness.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Mm-hmm. So I have a tough question for you two, since y'all have been around for so long and have a wealth of experience. How do you see ChatGPT, AI, other more technological advances impacting our accounting profession? Thoughts on that? This is a hard one. I told you.
I think from a lot of the technical, aspects of the profession, I think it's going to be an asset, and I think it could be utilized. But I think there's also that personal relationship. I don't know how AI is going to recruit. So, at the end of the day, if you want to aspire to be partner, right, or senior manager, it's not just your technical knowledge is a given, but I think it's your people skills, right. It's your ability to motivate your staff, and its ability to bring in business and retain business. So I think they're going to be hard pressed to take that end of the business over. But even, it's a lot of judgment involved. I think there's a lot of gray areas. I don't know necessarily that it's so black and white, when there's always a case of first impression. So I think that human element is still going to be a big piece of this. And somebody's got to program all this technology. So somebody behind the scenes has got to know what they're doing. I think that down the road, if we're talking 20 years, I think it's going to be a different landscape. But I think for the foreseeable future, I think humans are still going to have a big part in this game.
So you're going to be around a while. That's good news.
Yeah, I hope so.
You won't be replaced that easily.
Yeah.
No, but I agree. I think the higher level things are still, thinking about what it took to build my company, what it took to build our company now, UWorld as well, all that higher level information and all the higher level relationships that you're building, that can't be replaced by, computers. So I think we're still going to be needed.
Great, thank you all. So here's more of a logistical sort of question. If someone does happen to fail a section, do you recommend that they keep studying from the beginning? Or should they only focus on those parts of that section that they did not succeed in? What are your thoughts?
One of the nice things about what we've done for our new 2024 materials is we got the AICPA blueprints, and we set up our materials to exactly follow that flow. And when you get your results, it'll tell you in the different sections how you did. So what's nice is you can say, oh, in section 1 I got an 82%, and in section 2 maybe I was at 47%. So it'll show you where you need to kind of focus some of your energy. The other thing is, one of the nice things with our Smart Path technology, as you're going through the sections, because a lot of times people will overstudy in areas they like and are comfortable with and understudy in other areas. So let's say, for example, I love accounts receivable, percentage of credit sales, aging of AR, bad debt expense, writing off. So that I enjoy it. I'm going to do the questions again and again and again. And I would have to tell my students, okay, you've got that. You're doing great. You're getting 100% on all these questions. It's time to go look at deferred taxes or pensions or leases or bonds or something else. What our software will do is it'll walk you through and say, okay, how, in order to be a successful candidate and pass the exam, that average person taking our course had to do 80% of these questions 90% right, or 60% or 75% right. So it'll tell you when you've hit your target for both the number of questions and the percentage for that subsection. Then it'll say, okay, you've done it, now go to the next section. So what I would say to someone who didn't pass, when you get your score release, then you would look at that and say, okay, let me jump back in, and any areas that I was particularly weak in based on the AICPA blueprint, that's how our course is set up for 2024. Those are the sections I'm going to start with. And I still need to, and I always tell students, you got to be still reviewing the other stuff, because all of a sudden you forget some of the basics. So you still need to go back through everything, but the stuff you're remembering the second or third time through, you're still doing well on. And you might, because I would have students years ago, and they would bomb in this one section. Then they'd go, I'm going to study governmental. I got it, and I forgot cash flows. So you still need to kind of go through, and that's what's nice about the software. It'll kind of hold your hand and do that for you. Where in my day, I just had a paper pencil book and rode my horse to class because cars didn't exist.
Yeah, I would also say your study plan changes a lot the second time around. So the first time you're starting with the lectures, and then you're reviewing the textbook, and then you're working the questions last. You're going to kind of flip it over. So the second time around, if need be, you start with your questions. Obviously, as Roger said, you don't want to go up in the areas where you were weak and down in the areas where you were strong, but let your performance on the questions guide you. So as you go through those questions, if you're not performing to where you need to be according to the software, then you'll occasionally go back and rewatch those lectures and go back to the text as needed. But let your performance on the multiple choice first The task-based simulations, general rule of thumb is you don't want to touch until you feel you have a good grasp of the content, because I tell people task-based simulations could be challenging even if it were an open book test because of the volume of information
Very
you have.
comprehensive, yeah.
Yeah, so you have people who don't perform as well with the task-based simulations, and they try to say, well, I studied the multiple choice, I felt comfortable with the content, but you didn't apply it to the task-based simulations. You have to do a lot of practice there, and you want to make sure, like I said, where are you going to start? So I like to tell people, I call it legalized cheating. You don't want to start reading the facts without knowing what to do with the facts. So you want to look what the requirements are in the task-based simulation, and if it's a pension question, they want me to calculate pension expense. Well, write down your formula first, and then you go back and cherry pick the information, whatever's necessary to attack that question. But you got to make sure it's not like college where if you miss a class or two, it's not look, if you miss a topic, one of the chapters, you can conceivably be missing 10% or 15% of the testable subject matter, and then your margin for error in the other areas go way down. But if you fail, start with the questions, let that guide you. If you're not doing where you need to be according to the software, then you'll go back and rewatch the lectures.
Good, thank you all.
Good stuff.
So we mentioned earlier that one possible avenue would be taking BEC in 23, and that knocks out those disciplines for 24. So besides that, what are other recommendations that y'all have maybe for those who are ready to take another section in 23? Do you think there's going to be any changes to the difficulty of the sections that are sticking around?
I don't think. I think it'll be on par with what it's been. I think, and we say to take BEC in 2023, but I'm sure we have international students on as well, and a big obstacle for international students, if English is not your first language, and some of those students were very uncomfortable writing essays in English. Can you imagine taking the Chinese CPA in Mandarin? So we learn US GAAP, and then you got to learn Chinese GAAP and take the exam in Mandarin. Well, around the world, there's a lot of candidates where English is not your first language. You're not accustomed to writing essays in English. So if that's the case, whether you're located in the US or elsewhere, you might want to think about not taking BEC in 2023 so you can avoid the essays if that's a big concern for you. So a lot of it is really also dependent upon, your comfort level with different topics. So if you, for whatever reason, did terribly in managerial accounting and cost accounting, well, guess what? You may never have to see that because that's going to the bar discipline. And if for whatever reason you're going to be tax or IT and you don't plan on sitting for the bar discipline, well, you could totally avoid cost and managerial by not taking BEC in 2023. So it's not one size fits all, general rules of thumb. But again, we have so many people on staff here with a collection of talent that can help put together a study plan that's individualized based upon your strengths and what you feel comfortable with. But we did mention, like we said, some of the topics that are moving around because some of what's currently on financial will go to bar, that you conceivably, the FAR core in 2024 might be easier than the FAR exam as it exists in 2023. So again, depending upon, some people love financial. They got an A in advanced accounting. It's not an issue. But if you're worried about some of the topics that are moving from FAR in 2023 to bar in 2024, you might look at that list and I know some leases on there, some pension accounting, some governmental, not-for-profit. If you don't like those topics, well, guess what? Don't take FAR in 2023. And if you don't take the bar exam, you'll never have to see that stuff.
And if you look at our website at UWorld.com, you'll see there in CPA in the accounting division, you'll see the breakdown of what's going where. So you can kind of see, okay, here are the 4 parts in 2023. How is audit getting split up? How is reg? How is FAR? Where is BEC going? And where is it getting distributed? And also where is it going in the disciplines? So you can kind of see and judge it that way as well. And as my buddy Pete mentioned, for those that aren't familiar, in the current BEC exam, there are 3 written communications. You have to write an essay. Those are going away. So in 2024, you won't have to take that because BEC disappears, but those parts get spread out amongst some of the others. So again, you'll see a nice clear description of that and some diagrams on the website. Definitely check them out.
And I actually have a question for folks that are out there. If we have any partners or senior managers at firms, we've gotten this question at some point, are the firms going to have any say in what their new hires take insofar as a discipline goes, right? Because you would think if you were hired in the tax department, you should be taking the tax discipline and not bar or the IT. So we're just curious if the firms want to have a say in helping their new hires select that discipline down the road based upon what they're going to be hired to do.
Sure. And if any of you old timers are out there and took us many years ago, write in the chat what year and who you took out of curiosity. It'd be fun to see, how many of my old students are still alive. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Shut up. Even though I started teaching back when I was in my 20s and I had hair.
Oh, no. Roger looks good. Let me tell
thank you. You look good.
No.
You look good too. Oh, yeah, boy.
You know, I was gonna say,
we got to keep it clean. So.
No, I was at a firm just a couple of weeks ago, and I walked in and I met all these people, so nice to me. But one person was like, "Wow, Pete, you look a lot older in person." I was like, "Damn!" I was like, "I hope you fail the exam."
Read between the lines.
You're killing me. I don't want to dye my hair. I ordered this dye. I don't want to do it. Roger said I got to dye my hair.
No, it looks great. It's good.
It looks gray or great?
No, it looks a little of both. No, it looks fabulous.
See, I offered, because I want to build the right relationship with Roger, I said, I will shave my back and let them put the plugs in over there, but he didn't want the hair off my back. I don't know. I would give him the shirt off my back, but I offered something better, the hair off my back.
And there's a lot of
He didn't want it. Yeah, it's pretty bad. That's why they call me the bear, by the way, the sweet sugar bear.
Sugar bear.
The hair on the back.
The hair bear. I'm hoping mine grows so I can just kind of whip it over. I had a teacher in college like that. Every time the wind would blow, his hair would, So anyway.
So we're running towards the end of our happy hour.
No!
I know.
Happy hour. We got to do a
You gotta be
toast at the
kidding me.
end, too. Yeah.
We
That was
should
an
do a
hour?
toast.
Yeah.
It was.
Time flies when you're having, and imagine how much fun we could have with leases, pensions, bonds, and deferred taxes. Oh my goodness!
And I want to throw out again. So seriously, I would love to visit your school, your firm. We're going to be making the rounds. We're prioritizing the different areas around the country we're going to be going. So if you'd like us to visit your firm, your university, put it in the chat. Let us know, and we will. We're going to schedule it because we want to meet you all, and we're excited to buy you that hard-earned cup of coffee or Mountain Dew.
Hey,
but you got to pass first. So, but if you pass one part, I'll give you a quarter cup of coffee.
Quarter cup. There you go.
Quarter cup. That's hard to get out, a quarter cup.
Quarter cup. Yeah. Yes. So.
Roger, any parting words from you?
No, I just, for any of my students that have been with me for many years, thank you and congratulations on choosing an amazing career. That's Mountain Dew. And for those just starting out, this is an exciting profession and it has an exciting future ahead of us. So pursue your goal. You will never, ever regret having passed the CPA exam.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, folks. Best of luck to you. Hopefully we're going to see you out there very shortly.
Thank you. Bye-bye.